with the next question, focusing on immigration.
Thank you, Josh. Senator Brown, you say that before we even talk about a comprehensive immigration plan, you want to secure the border first. So fine, let's begin with that. There are basically 7,000 miles of border if you include the southern and the northern portion. So give voters tonight a realistic plan as to how you would secure all those miles and how much that would cost.
Well, the cost is, I think, very minimal in terms of the safety and security of our country. It's the #1 priority right now. We have to make sure that we secure the border. Obviously, you use fences, walls, aerial surveillance, infrared, troops, border security personnel, natural resources. It's not secure. I voted twice to secure the border and send troops. Senator Shaheen opposes that effort. It is the #1 issue in people's minds right now because they're deeply concerned about not only people coming through who are not here legally, but people who maybe have criminal intent or terrorist intent or be carrying some type of disease or another. We have to make sure that happens. In addition to that, the President is also seeking, as part of immigration, to legalize upwards of 11+ million people and giving them enhanced benefits. I disagree with that. I will go to the funding source and make sure that that doesn't happen. He's preparing it right now. Senator Shaheen agrees with that effort. I do not.
Senator, I still didn't hear a cost there in this. And
I said the cost is irrelevant. The safety and security of our country is the most important thing. When you have the federal government consistently wasting our tax dollars, trust me, there's a lot of money in the federal government right now. They are not a good steward of your money. Senator Coburn just put out a very thorough book on how the waste and fraud and abuse. How about taking some of that money and using it to secure the border?
Thank you, Senator Brown. Senator Shaheen, President Obama says he has big plans for immigration after Election Day, and he's not going to tell us until then. It's something that Senator Brown has called a cynical ploy to protect Obama's fellow Democrats like you. So when he makes this announcement, what would you like to see the president say? And do you think it's really fair to New Hampshire voters that he's delaying his announcement?
I don't think the president should take any action on immigration because we've got a bill on the floor that the Senate passed with a strong bipartisan vote that accomplishes comprehensive immigration reform. What it does is secure the border. It does that by building 700 miles of border fencing. It almost doubles the number of border guards who are there. It increases surveillance and interdiction. All of the things that Senator Brown said he wanted to do are part of that legislation, including an e-verify system so that people who are hiring can determine whether they're hiring legal or illegal immigrants who are here in this country. It also provides for surveillance and interdiction efforts. The fact is that bill had the support of Senator Ayotte. It has the support of Senator McCain, of Senator Rubio. It has a strong bipartisan vote. It's the kind of bill we should pass if we're going to address this issue.